everyone, welcome back to Learn with Oneupweb. For those of you who haven't taken one of these sessions with me before, my name is Christina Marbury and I am a senior project manager on our SEO and content marketing team. So I work with blogs all the time. Here at Oneupweb, we're really big believers that blogging is a super effective way for your brand to get in front of new customers and to build build brand awareness with new customers as well. So blogging isn't just for the food bloggers and the fashion bloggers out there anymore. It's really for any brand, no matter what type of business you are or organization, whether you are B2B or B2C, there is space for effective blogging for you. So today we're going to talk a little bit about why we think blogging can be really valuable, how to actually go about concepting your blogs, some tips for doing the research and writing those blogs, and then a few other little tips and tricks to help get you started. So why should we be blogging? The number one reason that we think it's a great idea for brands to be blogging is because it can drive a lot of users to your website. It helps you capture users who are not only doing those product or service searches, but are actually doing more informational, inquisitive sort of searches, like wondering how to clean their washing machine. And then, you can give them a little hint that your business is there to help them fix their washing machine should something go wrong with it. So that sort of thing is building really good brand awareness. You're getting your name out there with potential customers who, eventually are likely to come back and actually make a purchase with you. It's also really great to think about blogs that will convert. Your blog is often not your top converting section of the site, but we can try to choose blog topics that are more likely to convert. So for example, say you share some DIY tips for a service that you actually offer, but is maybe more complex than most people would want to take on their own. They'll read that blog, realize, ooh, this is a little nerve-wracking. And then they're more likely to actually give your business a call to try and take care of that for them. Blogs are also really great social content. Brands are always looking for things to share on their social media channels, and blogs give you really good informational, helpful, and educational content to share with your followers that are, is really relevant to your brand. All right, so that's the why. Now let's talk about how to actually go about getting those blogs concepted and written. First, we're going to chat about concepting. When you are concepting your blog topics, we're obviously going to spend a bunch of time brainstorming, thinking about the things that your customers might be interested in. You can also do things like talk to your sales team or talk to, whoever works at your company who is interacting with customers most often, and see if there's things that those customers are asking frequently, things that they hear over and over again that people want to know. Those often make really great blog topics that are really relevant to your customers. Once you've done a little bit of brainstorming, it's really important to do research before you start fully deciding on those concepts. One of the things that you could do is some competitor research, so figuring out what your competitors are blogging about and how you might be able to take over the search results for some of the keywords that they're targeting in their blog. To do that, we really like to use a keyword gap or a content gap tool within a keyword research tool. We use SEMrush, and they have a great keyword gap tool where you can take a look at what keywords your website is ranking for, what keywords your competitors' websites are ranking for, and find where those gaps are. And that often can give you some ideas of blog topics or keywords that your competitors are ranking for, but you are not ranking for. So speaking of keywords, we always want to base our blog concepting on keyword research. If we're writing about things that people aren't searching about, then it's not very likely that those blogs are going to drive traffic to our website. So make sure that you are using a keyword research tool to ensure that the keywords you're targeting in your blog are things that people are actually searching for. Using those keyword research tools can also help you to find great topics. You can, say, search for a generalized keyword relevant to your industry and then look at related keywords that are questions to determine some common things that people are asking about your industry. And then the last thing we really like to do when it comes to concepting our blogs is taking a look at trends. So we love using Google Trends. It's a great tool that gives you a sense of when during the year different keywords trend, and also if there's things that are, popping up as really big trends in the moment that you might be able to take advantage of. So if you head over to Google Trends, you can take a look there, put in any keyword that you want, and look at a given time period, and it will show you how that keyword is trending. We usually like to look at maybe 5 or so years of data because you can really see the peaks if something is trending at a specific time of year every year. And what that tells you is when the best time to write about that type of concept is. We usually try and publish our blogs just before a keyword is trending, which gives it time to get situated on the SERP and start ranking when that keyword really starts coming into that higher trend. So what sort of tools do we use to do that sort of research? I mentioned Google Trends, which is a great place to get that trend data, but the other tools that you're going to need are a keyword research tool. We use SEMrush, but there are a ton of keyword research tools out there that you can consider. There's pros and cons to all of them. And then 2 other places that we love to look for data when it comes to keyword research for blogs. One of them is a website called Answer the Public. You can put in any topic and it gives you a whole slew of ideas of things that people are wondering about that topic. It's a really great place to just put in your general theme and then get some information back, get some ideas back, and start brainstorming. We also really love to look at Google's People Also Ask feature, which you'll find when you search a lot of different terms in Google. It's right in the SERP. It pops up a little box that has some additional questions that are related to the search that people often ask. And that can be a really good place. You can search for a general term, and it can be a great place to find some blog topics of things that are questions that are related to that search term. And it can also be a really great way to determine how you should build out your blog content. So you could search for the main primary keyword you're planning to target in your blog, and that People Also Ask section is likely to give you some really good headers and sections of additional information to include within your blog. So it really serves 2 great purposes while you're doing your research. Once you have your concepts created and your keywords established, then it's time to actually get started writing your blogs. Writing blogs is something that does take a little bit of practice, but once you get the hang of it, it's relatively easy to write really effective blogs. The big things that we want to keep in mind when we're writing blogs are making sure that they are well optimized so that we are targeting keywords, we have a strategy behind the content that we're sharing, and also, that we're using those keywords effectively throughout the content. Part of targeting those keywords is making sure that we are providing really thorough and helpful information for the folks who end up on that blog post. We want to do everything that we can to make sure that when a user searches a term and heads to our website from the search results, they don't go back to the search results to look for an answer somewhere else. So we want to provide any information that we think they are going to want to know after searching that term, which can include content that is directly on the page. It can also include things, that we link off to. So if you're not writing about every single little question right in your blog, make sure you link to other pages on your website that include relevant information, or external pages as well that have some additional information. We mostly just want to focus on not having those users bounce back to the search results from our blog post. So we have blogs that are optimized, they're thorough, they're helpful, they have a great linking structure. We also want to make sure that the information is structured really well on the page, so that we don't just have a giant block of really long paragraphs that's hard to sort through and hard to find the specific bit of information a user is looking for. So to do that, we really like to use headers. Make sure you have a thorough header structure. You're putting some of those keywords into your headers. And then within those headers, make sure you're using bullets and numbered lists whenever it makes sense for the content that you're writing. And just make sure, that you're not writing too long of paragraphs. Try to keep your paragraphs relatively short, keep things to the point, and just make it as easy as possible for a user to find exactly what they're looking for within your content. Finally, we always want to end our blog posts with a call to action. A call to action is what's going to help encourage those users who land on your blog to actually interact with your brand, contact you, check out your services, whatever that next step you want them to take is, you want to make sure to include it in your blog content. So now you're pretty prepared to get started, at least with your first few blogs. A few other things to consider. One of them is AMP, which is accelerated mobile pages. This is a system that Google has for writing kind of a shortened code that makes everything on your page really streamlined and load super, super quickly. We've had a lot of success amping our own blog and having it show up better in the search results because we have those super fast pages and we're using a tool from Google, which they always like when you do that. Finally, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Oneupweb's Condario tool. Condario is our in-house content calendar. It's a digital platform that gives you everything you need for your blog, social media, whatever type of content you need for your content calendar, content strategy, we can provide it through this platform. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, feel like you need a little bit of help trying to get organized blogging for your business, then feel free to reach out and we can definitely help you out. All right, thanks everybody for coming to the latest Learn with Oneupweb session. As always, check out our LinkedIn group and send us any questions you have. And don't forget to take the quiz. Bye.